All right. The recording lies on. Let everyone know that you're being recorded. Everyone, you're being recorded. Hey, it's Paul with the IT company with three of my friends. And I just joked around and said Titans of real estate in Knoxville. So we have Jay Cobble with Providence Commercial Real Estate, and John Adams with Avison and Young, and Nicaud with Keller Williams. So John and Jay are on the commercial real estate side, and both of their companies are in the sell, lease, and also property management business. And Nick is on the residential side. So my thought was to gather some of the Knoxville Titans together and just talk a little bit about what's going on in real estate and how everything going on has affected everybody. So just maybe 90 seconds, everybody kind of introduce yourself and what your role is at every organization. Maybe a little bit about, I may have got it right or wrong about exactly what you do. So Jay.
Yeah, so my name's Jay Cobble. I'm a founding partner and principal at Providence Commercial Real Estate. And we are a full service local commercial real estate firm. We handle brokerage, development, and property management. I'm the brokerage arm that is out there trying to wheel and deal, do business development as well, and offices downtown, but we cover really all of East Tennessee.
Cool. John
Adams, founding principal of Avison Young. We are celebrating our 10th year this year, so this is going to be an interesting one for us. We have about 25 folks in the office. Roughly half is property management, half is brokerage. I spend more time on the brokerage side, running brokerage meetings, accountability, and that sort of thing. Jay, you forgot to mention SLR and CCIM, so I'll mention that for you as well. But Jay and I both are SLR competitors and CCIM friendly competitors. So both those are commercial real estate designations that we spend time with. So
cool. All right. Last but not least.
Yes, sir. I'm Nicaud, and I've sold residential real estate for the last 15 years, and I'm with Keller Williams. And I've got a team that I've run with my brother here, 6 agents, 3 admin, and we're multi-million-dollar producers each year for the last, 12 years. So just handling the residential day in and day out.
Cool. And you also kind of on the side have some rental properties, and so you're kind of diversified in real estate a little bit too.
Right. Yeah, we dabble in some flips and some remodels as well. And I've got, coupled with my brother too, we've got rental properties. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So I put some questions together. First one is, as we all know, we're in this lockdown, and I think people assume that all real estate is just locked down too from a buy lease perspective. So whoever wants to lead, what is actually going on? And we have two sides, commercial and residential. So whoever wants to start.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So first week, which I felt like was really spring break week for Knoxville, I was getting calls of people backing out of deals. So deals falling apart. That was the initial reaction. And since then, the fact is commercial real estate still has to move along. And so while some of those investment deals might be struggling, there's other things that just have to happen because people need their commercial real estate. So, then you look at stuff that's related to COVID-19. So I had a call from an industrial user that needed 100,000 square feet ASAP because their competitor is failing in this crisis, and their client is going to take the business from the competitor and give it to them. So they've got to jump on it. We got to get 100,000 square feet in the Southeast by next month, which is insane. So while everything else seems to be slowing down, some things actually pick up, like that instance right there.
Interesting. How about you, John? Uh-oh.
I think it all. Yeah. Can you hear me? Jay, you're freezing on me, so I don't know if it's my internet or not. But anyway, I think every deal is a little bit different. We've got a lot of renewals that we've been working on, and those have been put on hold as far as trying to get the documents finalized. People are tenants are waiting to see what's happened or what's going to happen. Some of them are asking for forgiveness in their rent, and we are trying to limit that as much as we also are working on deferral of some rental rates, but just trying to and just being open with what's going on and not trying to hide anything. That we're working through right now that there's scheduled to start the end of the year, and so those are what I'm spending most of my time on right now, because that's what most people want to talk about as far as the clients I'm working with right now. But there's also a couple investment properties that are ready to close, but we can't get a final inspection or a final sign off from a lender or whatever the case is, because the building has been locked down and nobody's allowed in, or no outside visitors are allowed in. So we actually are going to do a Zoom tour of a building this afternoon, and hopefully that will suffice for everybody to get the thing to the closing table.
Interesting.
So it's very, very interesting, just trying to be creative in how we get things done.
Yeah. How about you, Nick? Is on the residential side, are people still buying houses?
Yeah, people are still buying. I think the positive thing is we're still a great market. We're starting to see people still put homes on the market. There is a little bit of slowdown on that, because obviously people who don't need to sell are waiting, but people have to move and every day. So we're putting houses on the market weekly, if not daily. What we are seeing a drop is obviously physical showings. So we've had to get pretty creative and virtual tours and try to double down on doing some virtual tours that are put online as well as in physical for us. If a home's vacant, we still see a little bit of traffic, but probably the biggest downside that we're seeing is just physical presence of showings. But sales are still maintaining, listings are maintaining, closings, we're getting creative. Just like John said, we're basically closing 2 people per at a time going into a closing, and or mail aways, things like that. So that the shifting of being creative is at a huge where it's just very steadily right now. But market in general, we don't see much slow down, so which is nice, It's nice to see.
Well, and that was a little bit I was going to, and you kind of alluded to it. So how have each of you, well, maybe we'll start with you, Nick, how have each of you adjusted, and how you're operating? You're all business owners. You're all leading a business. So how have you operated with your team? Everybody, a lot of people have sent people home and everybody's working from home. And I think a lot of people think of real estate as kind of transient in that anyhow, and that you don't need a physical space, but all of you guys have offices and places you work. And then from the sales side, which you kind of alluded to, what are some of the unique things you've done and what have you had to do?
Yeah. So some of the things, I'll start with our team. We try to do a morning Zoom call just to kind of get everybody on board, motivated and up. Obviously, duration of time being at home, especially with kids, can kind of seem to be a demotivator. So what we've challenged is everybody getting on a Zoom call early in the morning, just kind of a quick 15-minute. We used to call them stand-up meetings. Mm-hmm. And so we do those pretty daily other than Monday. And then we are trying to maintain relationship with our clients through Zoom calls and phone calls. And regarding creativity for showings and things of that nature, we're doing a lot of Matterport, which is like a 4D camera, and we're doing a 3D camera. We're trying to increase the resources that we provide. Those have been out there, a little bit reluctant to get into. I think many agents, especially here in Tennessee, that there's a huge increase in it now. So it's pretty interesting. A lot of things that we've seen we're heading to have just pretty much been sped up through this. Yeah. So it's pretty nice. A lot of our agents, we're trying to do a virtual tour on vacant homes at least once a week just to stay active. But people online, they're still looking, and they're reaching out to us to look at homes. So,
how about you, John?
Yeah, we talked about this the other day. Just imagine if this had happened, 5 or 10 years ago, what would we have done? Just the technology that we've seen, and where commercial tends to lag behind residential in how we implement technology, but I think it's forced us to use more video. As a company goes, we've got one or two people in the office. We are, I guess, still considered a necessary business, mainly on the management side. And so somebody's got to be there to answer the phones in case, there's an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
But we do, these team calls twice a week with all the brokers and the property managers, and share articles, share webinars that we've been on. And, we've got locations within teams where we share all this data and just, trying to keep each other positive. Avis & Young does several conference call or webinars or conference calls a week, just sharing information that's worldwide, just, kind of globally what's going on. And mental health has been a big thing that Avis & Young is very open about, and just making sure people are okay. And so that's been another thing that we've tried to spend time on, just, asking the question, or really, are you okay? And if not, let's try to get through this together and get help. But it definitely is that. I mean, I've been at home for 4 weeks now, working every day. My back hurts from sitting in a chair and looking at Zoom all day, but it's the new norm, and just trying to make the most of it.
Yeah. How about you, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the service business, so our job every day is serve our clients, take care of what they need. Yeah, as John said, we are an essential service because we got to keep real estate alive. But one thing, a little pivot, is just realizing serving our staff for where they are now. So it's just checking in with them, finding out how we can serve them. What do they need? Because we knew what they needed when they were in the office, and we could just stand there and talk about it. But now that they're at home, trying to actively check in with them, talk about that. So, whether it's getting a new chair because they're set up on the card table at their house and they need something, or I don't know if it's true or not, but I got a text about somebody's printer going out the window and request for a new printer. So I don't know if that was exaggerated or not, but
hey, I need one too.
The answer is yes. You get a new printer. Whatever happened to your last one? Because we want to keep our people happy and operational so they can serve our clients well. And so that's one focus of mine, trying to check in with them and do that. Otherwise it's getting communication out. During busy times when there's nothing to communicate, quote unquote, when there's no new updates. Sometimes as brokers, we don't communicate. But during this, we have no news to tell, but just to communicate anyway with the client, letting them know what's going on. And then, I guess we'll get into this later, but last week was filled with PPP discussions, SBA loans, and then, last couple weeks on with lots of our clients on rent relief requests, those kinds of things. So there's been lots of action.
That's my next question is, and I'd love to hear from you too, Nick, being somebody that owns rental properties. I don't know if Jay or John, if you guys are in that world either, but I'm curious on the retail side, especially, and just the commercial side, is what are you seeing? I mean, or is the kind of two categories, the retail sector, which is obviously getting just decimated with hotels and restaurants and all these categories just, shut down. How are the landlords handling the fact that these tenants are just, going sideways?
Yeah, there's a pretty broad range on it that you see. So like I'm on a board on a nonprofit board, and we've got a major retail tenant, and they've been awesome to work with. We had a great relationship in the first place, but they've taken a look at the situation and looked at this paycheck protection program that the SBA is offering, and how 25% of that is allowable and forgivable towards rent. And so where our conversation started out, in the first weeks about rent relief, they've pivoted and shifted and looking at these loans and saying, hey, we can actually pay our rent, assuming we get this. And so, don't worry about it. So that's been, huge with that. On the other hand, got national corporate groups that send out all their blanket letters, and including like a taco place that just notified us that they would be abating their April rent and never pay us back on that. So just there's different ways of communication, and we've seen kind of different things across the board.
Yeah.
As far
How
as
about
that.
you? How about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, a similar situation. I mean, it all depends on the tenant, whether it's local or national, and or the landlord. And again, just trying to have the open line of communication. As a landlord, trying to figure out how you can keep your tenant in business. So when we come out of this, hopefully it'll be sooner than later that they can stay open and be a paying tenant. And then in a lot of cases, working with a lender on doing interest only or deferring payment to the back end of the term. But I mean, I think every situation is a little bit different. Obviously, the hospitality side and the restaurant side, I think from what we've seen as landlords, has taken the biggest hit as far as folks paying rent. But we actually been pretty surprised on some of our ARs we went through this morning, that we didn't have more people that had not paid rent. And it was interesting. We had about 5, we missed the FedEx guy several days in a row. And so we had about 5 FedEx stickers on the door, and we figured they were all notifications that they were not paying rent. And I think there were 1 or 2 in there, but actually a handful of checks that they had FedExed to make sure that we got them. So it was, just, again, every situation is a little bit different, but I've been overall, I've been pleased to see, the response from most of the tenants.
Yeah. Nick, on the you as a landlord, as somebody renting, and I think you have an Airbnb. What's like? Have you seen of any rental tenants been like, hey, I can't pay you? And is your Airbnb, because that was pretty steady, has it dropped?
Believe it or not, I'll start with our Airbnb. I mean, that's on my property, so it's a little different. We had a request for a month stay, which we decided to not do it because it's on our property. Yeah. But we did use it. I think last Friday we had an overnighter, and we'll just try to do a little bit more background check on why are you staying, things like that. But definitely, I mean, Airbnb, and we're reading it. I mean, they're struggling across the nation, across the world. But so about rentals, I guess for me, my approach with ours and the ones that we kind of manage, we didn't reach out to them, and our approach was if they reached out to us, then we would engage the conversation. We didn't want to take the approach, obviously, which sounds like Jay and John did too. Is just like we don't want to take the approach to be proactive because in trying to reduce. So we've had 1 of 22 properties. Their job was in question. We negotiated something to drop the rent, and then it's the least we can do. Obviously, we're all in this together, and our approach as far as the 22 we got, everyone else seems steady, and there's not been a struggle. I don't know if that's just our economy and locally, but as far as ours, we haven't seen too much disruption, but it's, again, I think Jay was alluding to it, just when you get into restaurants and things like that, it's a little different. So
yeah, and now I want to kind of shift a little bit. Like, I think this whenever something major happens, we're all going to come out of this with some. It's not going to be the same. Some things will be the same, and then we'll learn things from it. We'll change the way we operate as a business in certain ways. But I'm really curious. My first question is, I've been thinking about this myself. Like, and I know you guys don't have a crystal ball, but is it conceivable that over the next 5 to 10 years, this has accelerated the concept that maybe the big office space goes the way of the shopping mall? Like, it's just people are no longer taking 10 and 20 and 30,000 square feet, or even 5. They're taking 2 and leaving everybody, everybody else is working from home. Is that even, had you seen that trend already, and do you see this accelerating it? Start with you, John.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple tenants that we renegotiated leases over the last couple of years where they downsized their square footage, but added more people to the space. So basically what they did was just crammed more people within the space. One particular tenant that we did that with, they had one person that came down with the virus, so they had to shut the entire call center down. So I think, I've asked this question to most people that I talk with every day, and most of the people have said, I always thought that I could work from home, and I think that I still can to a certain extent, but I'm not nearly as efficient at home. I can see a case where maybe I can work from home one day a month, or maybe we can stagger some things. But most of the people that I've talked with have just said they need the interaction. They miss the interaction in the office. They miss maybe even the quiet time, prayer time, or podcast time, whatever, in the car on their commute. I think we're fortunate because our commutes are not hours. So for some people that's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a couple of things that it's going to be interesting to see how we get back into the office, and I think it's going to be somewhat of a staggered approach because everybody's scared right now, and they I think the janitorial companies are going to have to step it up a little bit on sanitizing and make sure things are clean. And one call center that we work with in particular, when they get back open, they're going to have people in every other cube to try to keep people a little bit further away from each other. So I tend to think that we're going to start seeing the average square foot per person creep back up. I think right now it's a typical, several years ago, you used to say it's 250 square feet per person. And I think now it's closer to 215 square feet per person. I think that number is going to creep back to a higher number. Then you've got WeWork where they're 75 square feet per person. And, I've read a lot about, what they're trying to do to get back open, and they're taking a lot of the desks out and making their 12-room conference table or conference room into a 6-room or 6-person table or room. So, just trying to think outside the box a little bit and know that, the Zoom stuff, the Teams, GoToMeeting, whatever you're using, it works and it's helpful, but the interaction, reading body language, just being around people in the office is something that I think I've heard a lot of people miss.
Yeah. Jay, what are you seeing or hearing?
Yeah, I think one thing is interesting when you break down, personal needs. And so I know some of us have numerous little soldiers running around the house screaming at different times. And while there's some amazing parts of this, the way it's been, it's not the most productive thing to work. So I'm definitely enjoying it now. But when I need to get really active come this fall, it's gonna be best done at the office. And I work with a lot of call centers and different types of stuff like that too. And John's points are right on with that. But whether it's generational and different uses of tech or people's home situations that might not be as ideal, it affects everybody differently. And then there's an aspect of being a boss or being an employee and that interaction, and how do you manage people when you're not together? How is that done? How's it done well? There's different layers, middle level management taking over, watching top level management, watching over middle management. There's different aspects where it's more necessary, but certainly in a lot of industries, you gotta have management working and building relationships and watching their team. It's pretty key. So.
Yeah, this is a big experiment that's been forced on us. It's pretty interesting for sure. Hey, Nick, I just thought of this. I didn't put this in our original notes, but the way that subdivisions have been built lately has been just on top of each other, close. And I think one of the byproducts of what's happening, we've all talked about that. I've noticed it even in my neighborhood. Nick and I live close to each other. Like more people are walking their dogs and riding their bikes than I've ever seen happen in my neighborhood ever, and I wonder if developers will start to rethink the way that they, go build subdivisions. Like, they were already trying to do some stuff, but I wonder, do you feel or see anything where this shifting the way people think about, ultimately people are going to think about how to make money. Right. They're going to think about, but do you see any shift?
Yeah, I think the bottom line is obviously money, but I think if you look back over history, I mean, builders try to do the best they can to supply what homeowners want. You know, if you can't put a neighborhood or community playground, you know, it's not going to be put in there. But that is a great question, and I don't actually know if they can morph anything, because I mean, if people, I'm honestly curious to see how many people are going to continue to walk once we're back out. I think there will be a slow rollout, of course, but there are things about the tight neighborhoods, if you will, that I don't know if you can change that up, honestly, Paul. I mean, there's so many things that they fight against as it is just to build a subdivision. Yeah. But even the playground in itself, I mean, you start thinking about germs, and then it's like, gosh, the playground in a subdivision is what you want. Is a pool what you want, you know? Yeah. So those are things that I think as that rolls out, that'll answer the question.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Nick,
the North Shore centers of the world, that's to me like what a great thing that is. Like in a time like this, it feels like that would be, you have everything right there, you know? So
yeah, but like if all your if you're living downtown or an urban area to take advantage of the restaurants and the public places and they're all closed, then you might, you know, then it's like, well, I should have gone got my 5 acres and a farm. If this is gonna happen again, I'd rather be on the farm than
I mean, that's been my saving grace, kind of what you're saying, Jay. I mean, I'm on 2 acres and it's fenced in, and it's like, I'm still going crazy, but I'm very fortunate. My wife and I talk about, imagine being in New York on the 42nd floor with 2 kids, you know, it's like, I just could not imagine. And so regarding the neighborhood, I mean, I was back to you, Jay. I mean, there's only so much you can control, but
well, and we digress, but I mean, I'm in the same boat. I have an acre, and we've actually talked about, you know, Nick and I have many times talked about us moving out of the areas we live in and moving to a different kind of area in Knoxville. And my wife and I were talking about, like, we're really thankful for an acre. We have an outdoor patio, we've got a trampoline, we've got a full-size soccer goal, we've got a garden. Like when our little 20-month-old is about to lose her mind, we just go make laps around the yard, you know, jump on the trampoline and stuff. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens. So last 2 questions really are, do you see, I know, again, no crystal ball, this is on the commercial side. What about retail as it relates to food? Like, you know, you guys all know that we own 2 restaurants and we're in this full takeout and delivery mode that we've never been in before. You know, do you think that this is going to push people in restaurants to start thinking smaller and doing different models, or have you heard where people are? I don't know. Again, you don't have a crystal ball. I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
Go ahead, Jay.
I think it's definitely it's brought about a new creative impulse from restaurateurs that now have those tools in their belt and are prepared to be more flexible, perhaps. You know, seeing a friend that, you know, jumped on, now he's really in the cocktail delivery business instead of the pork rinds, instead of what he was doing. And, you know, you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs, having all this time to think about how you want to create, what you want to do, how you want to be flexible, instead of having a customer walk in the door every 5 minutes, you know, for the last however many years they've been operating. So I think it'd be really interesting to see how the creativity from this time plays out moving forward. And then, you know, people better prepared for flexibility if something like this were to happen again. But I also think that, you know, there's a short term versus the long term. I think that's a long term aspect that's really going to help restaurant business in general. But short term, well, it depends on how, you know, as we come out of this, some people are still going to be afraid to go in. And so they're going to stick to the online ordering more, but then other people are going to appreciate the dining experience.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I mean, I know that's one thing you guys focus on Hard Knocks is how incredible the pizza is, hot right out of the oven. And that's the focus, is like, come enjoy this experience here and have this. Where, you know, when I get my Thai food and it's on the table in my kitchen, while it's great being home, you know, it's not the same experience. And so will there be a dash back to, you know, JC Holdway? You know, I don't know, they got their takeout menu, but, you know, I'm not ever going to get takeout from JC Holdway. I'm going to look forward to that.
That's right.
Personally. but I'm eat there when this is over. So I think we'll see how that plays out.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been pretty amazing how creative the restaurants have been, and some of them that I've talked to have actually made more money during this time and doing takeout, just because of limited menu, limited staff.
Yeah.
Their profit can be higher, and just thinking through, how is it going to be different going forward? I mean, I agree with Jay. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see, especially over the next 6 months, how the sit-down restaurants continue to change. But we like to eat out. I mean, even with 4 kids, I mean, we enjoy it. We hate cleaning dishes. We're okay cooking, but this is getting old. And so, we're trying to get takeout as much as we can. And a lot of them are tenants of ours. And so we, obviously want to try to support them, but the atmosphere going in a restaurant and sitting down, whether it's loud or there's a screaming kid, whatever the case is, just the human interaction, we're missing out on right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder with all 3 of you, what your thoughts are, as just, human beings going through this yourself. Like, do you see yourselves, going out less? Will this change the way that you view going out for dinner? Nick, Nick, you're like, I mean, you like to be out. You're a social guy, so do you see this changing the way you do it?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, honestly, I kind of reiterate what they're saying. I think that it's kind of almost highlighted the things that I think people forget about social interaction. For me, I've always been germ conscious, really. So I'll always wash my hands. I mean, to the fact of even after I eat, I go wash my hands, which is kind of maybe overkill. But I love going out. I love the personal interaction. I'm probably on, if not as many Zoom calls as John, probably close, just because I love talking to people,
Yeah.
So it probably won't change myself or my family. I mean, we're sort of like John as well. I mean, my wife loves to cook, but we love to support the community, and we don't like doing dishes. Matter of fact, I do the dishes and I don't like doing them. So I don't know that out the gate we're going to increase it, but definitely won't slow us down as a result.
Jay, you're same boat. You're a social guy. You like to go out to eat. What do you see? Like, have you and your wife talked about this? Like, hey, we don't know if we're just going to rush to it, or no, we're back in the swing of things when this is over.
Well, I mean, the question is, what do the numbers look like? What does the virus look like on the way out? And so if we're fast forwarding to where there's no hesitancy about that, then, I mean, in the first couple of weeks that we kind of try to make a list, it's like, wait, what restaurants do we love so much that if they were not there anymore, like, devastated. So like, make our list, and that's where we're prioritizing our to-go. Like, we got to keep these guys rolling. Hard Knocks, one of those. And
it's like 4 times.
Yeah, it's like we can't survive without that when it's done. But like a new appreciation for those places, and priorities on that as what I see coming out of it. That's like, now we're not just going to go wherever. Like, we want to go to that place that we care about, and we're going to appreciate the fact that we get to go and enjoy it.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a big difference for us.
Well, I think the interesting thing, I've been listening to my wife as she runs all the Hard Knocks stuff, as you guys know, and like they're about to do a kit where you can buy the whole the dough ball and all the things that go with it, and then they're going to do like a Facebook Live where they teach you how to stretch the dough, they teach you how to make the pizza and put it in the oven, how long to cook it in a conventional oven. Just to have some fun with it and give people an opportunity to cook. But she's like, I don't know if that's a long-term thing. It's just something, kind of fun to do sort of in the meantime. So to your point, I think all the folks in restaurant, folks are creative. That's what they do. They're creators. So it's no surprise that they're coming up with unique ways. That local love box thing that they're doing, that they're doing with a concert and stuff. I mean, brilliant ideas. So I think somebody that's loosely involved in this because of my wife with Hard Knocks, it is really interesting to sit on the sidelines and listen as they really debate, like, so coming out of this, like, what does the third Hard Knocks look like? Does that look like 3,000 square feet, or does that look like 1,500 square feet back to the old concept, or does it look like something completely different? So it's interesting. I think the byproduct of this is what we said, is it's going to force you guys from a real estate perspective, business owners, all of us are going to rethink and come up with unique things that are like new things that we can do that we weren't doing before, or it's going to accelerate something that was already on the rise, So what you and I, what the four of us are doing right now, actually, I've enjoyed it. I've done 9 of them, and I've got 9 more between next Friday. And so
Wow.
John and I are a lot alike, so John knows. He's probably like, holy cow, yeah, I'm really exhausted, bud. So they're tiring, but they're interesting and fun, and I think it's opened up a lot of ideas in my mind on how are we going to use this technology in the future, even when we're all back into a whatever we call a normal state going forward. So it's interesting. So any last thoughts before I let you guys go? I think the big thing I do want to share with people, though, is I don't want anybody to be irresponsible, but I think that, a critical component of our world is our economy, so what you guys do, people buying and selling houses, people, continuing to, look for interesting development projects and to, looking for office space. These are really, really important things to do. And I think it's really important that we get back to those things as fast as we can. And I think the cure is worse than the whatever. I don't love that concept, but at the same time, when we get past this, we got to get back to normally going out and doing the things we do and enjoying it and having fun and interacting with people. It's really important. So I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your time, and I'm going to stop recording and then just chat with you guys for a couple of seconds.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt.